Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, a happy Sunday to all, or happy whatever day of the week it is when you are watching this. I'm still playing catch up. Well, I think I'm going to be playing catch up for a very long time, considering the amount of music I've missed. No longer am I going to be missing tripleS's Aria, though. Of course, the ballad unit that dropped music, gosh, coming up to 3 months ago, I think, right? Yeah, January 15th, so coming up to 3 months ago. tripleS's, I think I'm correct in thinking their most recent release when it comes to new subunits. tripleS's Aria, the ballad group. They have the single Structure of Sadness, which includes the title track Door, and the B-side Farewell My First. We're going to be checking out both, because why not? I should warn you, I have listened to Door before. A lot. I mean, I'm a big ballad guy, so this was going to play right into my pockets, or right in my field. I haven't listened to the B-side, though. So that's kind of the main focus for today, but I'm going to enjoy Door again anyways, because, well, the song is great, and I think it deserves to be just enjoyed over and over and over, and might as well cover the entire album while we're at, because it's a 2-track single. So, let's do just that. Roll the intro real quick. Here we go! What's crazy is tripleS have all 24 members now, and that's man, what a long road. I've only been around since probably around since when Kaede or Dahyun was announced. Because, well, we checked out Generation that dropped, but I really only started like following them properly since probably Rising. So yeah, when Kaede and Dahyun were announced, who incidentally are both in Aria. It's Jiwoo, Cheon, Dahyun, Kaede, and Nian, which is kind of a loaded lineup for variety stuff, because they are kind of bonkers when it comes to variety stuff. I love the chaos that they bring, which I think is a great contrast to the type of music they produced, but I'm not going to complain. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the album list, because this is technically an album list, and I want to give credit where credit is due. So, track number 1, title track Door, written by Miss Hayes on lyrics. I remember seeing that. Hayes, KZ, Kim Taeyong, Charlotte Wilson, and Rachel Shevlin. Right, let's jump into it. Drink. Apologies if there's like audio balancing issues and stuff. I mentioned this through yesterday's releases and stuff, but big technical issues, and I had to go and like do a fresh Windows install, so all my settings are gone. It's the background vocals here that do it for me. I think it has such a gorgeous texture. Glad that we got Jiwoo showing off her vocals too, especially after Queendom. God, the production for the song is so well done, and the balance between like the vocal and instrumental part is done so well. I will never get sick of Diane's tone. I think her, it's like powerful but also fractionally breathy tone is gorgeous. Ow. Puddle! Yeah, that early white noise riser into cutting all the instruments out. That background vocal part for the bridge is gorgeous. It's so cool. It feels like a second violin part. Diane, go crazy, go crazy. God, that never gets old. Oh my god. The mixing for this song is so well done. Oh my goodness. Look, I'm biased towards music like this, right? I love ballads. I think ballads are some of my favorite types of music. Like, if we're talking subgenres of music, ballads are one of my favorites. The emotional value of it, the beauty of it all. Like, I don't really care that ballads don't get me up and moving, because ballads make me feel something that no other type of music can do. And it's put me in my feels, and I don't care when or how that happens. If music can put me in my feels, I'm gonna love it. tripleS's Aria, and like Door specifically, does something that I think not many groups will do, and it's put the main focus into a ballad, right? Like, having a group debut with a ballad as a title track is kind of unheard of in this like day and age when it comes to K-pop specifically. Everyone wants to go with like the big loud concepts, you know, your dancey type, your hard hitting, if we're talking girl groups, your like girl crush types, the cutesy bubblegum pop vibes, your Christian horse girl pop vibes. No one really debuts with a ballad as a title track. So that alone puts them in kind of a path of their own. It's like when you're playing the game of life, you know, the board game, and everyone chooses to go the college route, but you decide to just go straight into the workforce. Like, they're going along a different path that people haven't gone down in recent times. And they've done so much justice to the genre. Like, the vocals and the balance of the vocals through this is so well done. Whether it's the various little harmonies they've thrown in at the end, or whether it's just the solo vocal part on its own, and the mixing of it is helping so much. The song is constantly moving. It's like an ocean where it just kind of like ebbs and flows, but it's not just this instrumental part that's doing it, it's the vocal part that's moving back and forth, especially in that final chorus where you have like the big release, Diane getting her high note moment. And even the bridge before then, where you have the main vocal part, and then you have the kind of B section, the harmony vocal part that's almost being treated not as a vocal part, but like an instrument in an orchestra, along with the orchestral part of the instrumental part. And it's like everything has a purpose, everything has a role, and it's done perfectly. I want that bridge again. Wait. It's this part. It's like you have the main vocal part carrying the melody, and then you have, because while that top line is carrying the melody, you hear the strings in the background. You hear the shoulder strings kind of start going up on the fingerboard. And then all of a sudden you have the pair background vocals cut in and kind of provide a little bit of a constant rhythm in the harmony that's mixed in a way that's got a little bit of fuzz to it that feels like a violin. And I think that small little detail is perfect. It genuinely is perfect. They couldn't have done a better job with it. It's like, grow the intensity, slow it down, punch it back. That's a crazy vocal run up top, by the way. Like, that's a long vocal run, and that's at a range that's high with a lot of power. It's like, that's high chest voice with full breast support behind it. That's not easy to do. I mean, Dahyun's had a lot of high notes in the past, but she's singing that with a tone that's very different to her just normal high notes that she gets throughout the song. Just, hold on. Sustain, sustain, cut it, sustain, sustain, still going, still going. That's where it cuts off. You realize how much movement and how much length there is to that held note, and just, she holds it. Just keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and you're thinking, how long is she gonna go? And it just keeps going. Wild, wild times. And then this detail, I think, is really cool. The song likes to stagger out instrumental parts one by one. It kind of like phases it out to create that dramatic effect. Once the song ends, they cut everything apart from that piano part. And they've moved the vocal mix closer to the microphone. And once all the instruments get cut out and you have Dahyun finishing the song, they really move her close to the microphone. And you can hear that movement in the vocal part and look like the proximity they have to the microphone and where it is in the mix. And I think that small detail too is really cool in adding to that ebb and flow effect that the song has. Oh my goodness. God, I love this so much. The sun has started to go down while we were recording that, so I've turned on the overhead light, which is slightly unfortunate because that means my electricity bill is going to go up, but that's fine. That's fine. I have to do what we have to do. One final song, because of course this was a 2-track single, which also means it qualifies for Album of the Year. I hadn't thought about Album of the Year, mainly because I haven't listened to that much music this year to warrant looking at Album of the Year, but Structure of Sadness technically does qualify, because it's an album with 2 or more unique songs. It'll be up for consideration because we still have to listen to Farewell My First, the second track on the album, of course, written by Lee Ju-hyung, Iris, and Janet Suh. Of course, there is a big Mono Tree presence in this, which is tremendously exciting. One, because I think Mono Tree are tremendously talented at producing music. They've been around for time. They're a very well-known name in the industry. And also, this is unrelated to tripleS, but On and Off are coming back tomorrow, and that's tremendously exciting as well. But, of course, we still have tripleS music to finish, so let's run it through one time. Here we go! There's some tasty piano parts going on here. Hold on. Start building. Add even more acoustic instruments. This is actually a pretty busy instrumental part. There's a lot of moving parts. It's giving me almost musical vibes in a little way. And again, it's such a controlled song when it comes to mixing. It's prioritizing vocals in front, but it's allowing for the instrumentals to have a lot of growth. Big moment there. Give it a little bit of syncopation, okay. Tasteful vocal harmony once again. What felt like a long growth, that was actually pretty short in terms of like where you were in the sheet music. Very profound, big growth, and then kill it down again. And then end with just the piano again. Oh, and a nice cymbal roll to boot. Sustain. Sustain it. Stretch it out. This one is very much more like a film OST, I think, rather than a traditional ballad, which all kind of comes down to that orchestral element, I feel like. And also at the fact that it's really not a song that's meant to stand out, so to speak, in comparison to Door. Like, Door is very much, at least for me, feels like it's meant to just be there, if that makes sense. Farewell My First does feel a little bit more tame, a little bit more subdued. And that it's not trying to be that front and center song, it's trying to create a scene, it's trying to provide an atmosphere. And if we're talking in that regard, I think it does a spectacular job doing it. It does, I am kind of looking at it from a double bias point of view, because one, I love ballads. But two, I grew up playing in string orchestra and eventually played in full orchestra through, like, last year of high school. Well, our high school had a combined program for the end of the year, and then played through the first couple years in college, in undergrad, played in full orchestra. But playing in orchestra was one of my favorite things to do growing up. Just being able to be a part of just an ensemble of people with just various musical interests, musical tastes, musical ability, coming together and creating something that just sounds absolutely gorgeous with orchestral instruments, I think is one of the coolest things to experience in person, whether it be listening to it or actually partaking in it. I love doing both. And when you have a song like Farewell My First that really just kind of lets the instrumental part be the instrumental part, but also support the vocal part, that's written in a way where it almost doesn't feel like it's being treated as a vocal part, but it's being treated as like an alternative first violin part, if that makes sense. In an orchestra, you have like first violin, which usually takes the melody, the second violin, which takes the harmony. Sometimes you'll occasionally get a third violin, but then you get violas, cellos, and then basses in the back. And that's how the string orchestra works. For me, the way tripleS Aria has kind of been written throughout, like, both songs, is you have violin 1 taking the melody part, but it's like tripleS Aria's vocal line is that violin 1 part, and everything kind of just gets pushed down the line a little bit. Because their vocal part, while, yes, it is front and center in the mix, doesn't come across like it in the grand scheme of things for me, it feels like an instrument that has words speaking. And that is such a tiny little there's a tiny little detail in there somewhere that's doing that. And I don't know what that is, but I love it. Because you can still make, for me, I can still make out the vocal part and make out the words and make out the consonants and vowels that's being delivered through it, but my ears are picking it up like it's not a vocal part, it's being played through an instrumental part. And I've never really felt that about a ballad before. Oh, man in heavens above. Woo. Look, man, I know ballads aren't necessarily the most positively received genre of music out there, but I love them. I genuinely do. I can't say enough good things about it. Like, if we're talking specifically in terms of K-pop, there's a short list of songs that have made me cry my eyes out. Or at least shed a tear, or a constant stream of tears. And I would probably say all of, minus like one or two, are ballads. There's just something about them that works for me. Maybe I'm just a sappy emotional sod and I've kind of known that all my life, but maybe it's that emotional side of me that kicks into gear whenever I listen to a ballad. But man, it's just a lot of fun, isn't it? It is, it really is. You get the vocals, you get the really pretty instrumentals, the vibes are immaculate, and I could not be happier. Well, I could be happier if there was more music, but that's a usual complaint when I have for really any artist. It's not just tripleS. And of course, there's still other tripleS stuff that I still need to catch up on, because of course NXT had Just Do It at the end of last year. We're gonna have tripleS Glow, because the last four members were announced and they're part of a subunit. We're gonna have OT24, I think, what's the title track called? Girls Never Die, right? That's coming out soon, which is tremendously exciting. And which also means I only have a little bit of time to probably learn S21 through 24, because 23 and 24 have stage names now, and that's slightly confusing because we never had that before. And yeah, tripleS is going to be a grand old time this year, as it was last year and as it was the year before when we had, Acid Angels from Asia debut with Generation. And tripleS have had a really good track record when it comes to their music, and I'm not complaining one bit. If they can keep this up throughout this year, oh, I am going to be ecstatic. But that is it from me today with tripleS Aria. Thank you all for watching along, listening along with me. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. One last request from me today: let us work together as a community to bring a little bit of extra happiness back into the world. Whether it be checking with your friends and family, holding the door open for somebody, or even picking up a piece of trash off the street. Just one small act of kindness to may brighten up someone else's day to day. And know that wherever you are in the world, should you ever be going through a tough time in your life, for whatever reason it may be, even though I'm just some guy on the internet who waffles about music in his free time, know that I will always be a friend, an ally, and a shoulder to lean on whenever you need me. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, spread the love, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.